Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Enemy here, bringing you my review for Attack on Titan Season 3, Episode 2. And before I even get into the review itself, I think I should throw my 2 cents into pretty much into what into what we pretty much learned about Hajime Isayama. Because recently, the manga of Attack on Titan, Hajime Isayama, pretty much came out and said that he openly acknowledges that the fact that there were in fact a lot of issues in a lot of issues with this current arc that he pretty with this current arc that's being adapted into anime format. And the interesting thing to take away from pretty much this the interesting thing to take away from pretty much this current arc we're in and Hajime Ishiyama's current thoughts is that he said outright that that this current arc was pretty much this current arc, even he admits it was definitely a low point in his life, in his life of working on Attack on Titan because it's really one of those weird things where, or according to Isayama, when he was first doing Attack on Titan, he never really expected it in order to blow up and get as popular as it did. So, in terms of the current arc we're in terms of its manga adaptation, it was kind of one of those things where he pretty much had to scramble in order to discover okay, where exactly am I going to take this next, and with that he kind of came up with the whole uprising arc which we're currently in, and he even went on further to say that it was kind of a point in his and working on this current arc, it really kind of it really kind of, he really kind of ran on fumes when he was doing this arc. So he pretty much openly acknowledges that any kind of problems that people have had with this arc, he has those exact same problems with it as well. And he even went on to after knowing that and in the early stages of realizing that oh yeah, the Attack on Titan is getting a season 3 and they're adapting the material I hate. He pretty much came out and said that he's definitely hoping that pretty much the anime can pretty much fix a lot of the issues he pretty much caused in this current arc. Which first off I do gotta give him props for pretty much being being incredibly humble and just openly admitting his mistakes. But even more so than that, I think pretty much what everything I'm kind of getting from this, everything I'm kind of getting from everything that Isayama said in this interview is telling me that things are that okay. Everything Isayama said about this current arc being adapted is telling me that this first arc is going to be headed in a slightly different direction, where it will be different than the manga. Will be definitely different than the manga, and probably faster paced, but still keeping the same themes and ideas intact. In definitely a way that in keeping those same themes and ideas intact in a way that, and in a way those differences are already starting to show, because just pretty much just for me watching this episode, there were a lot of times where there are definitely a lot of times where it seems like they were combining elements from different chapters, and it even felt like they were trimming a lot of the fat, so to speak, on certain chapters as well. Like everything that's, if there is stuff being cut out, then it's definitely stuff that was definitely not even needed in the chapter to begin with, in Isayama's adaptation to begin with. So yeah, in a way I can already say that we're hitting on an interesting track for sure. And the thing is, if Isayama is doing the storyboard for this arc, it makes it even better, and I have total faith in Isayama too. But anyway, I kind of went on a bit of a ramble there. I'm sorry, guys. I had to get that out of the way. But anyway, getting into the episode itself. One one thing I definitely found interesting about the beginning of this episode, in terms of the whole fight between, in terms of the whole fight between the Survey Corps and the First Interior Squad of the military police, is that while there were a lot of, while there were a lot of groups fighting back and forth in order to get Aaron and his story, in order to see as to which one would end up with Aaron and Historia, the core of the fighting itself remained very much focused on Levi and Kenny, even when they weren't in a scene. Because if you really look at the whole context of this battle between the Survey Corps and the First Interior Squad, it was basically a battle of wits between two generals. In this case, Kenny and Levi. And it's funny, but in this one single battle, I feel we got even more of a sense of Levi and Kenny's relationship just from that fight alone than any exposition would than any exposition at all, like in any case of shonen, honestly. So yeah, I gotta give it props for pretty much just some really good visual storytelling. And I mean, honestly, if I'm being honest, there was actually a lot of great visual storytelling in this episode alone, and I think that's definitely one of Attack on Titan's greatest strengths, is that it does a lot of visual storytelling without even needing a whole lot of dialogue. And even if there is dialogue, even if there is dialogue, it's still good dialogue. And we get two big reveals in this episode. The first is that the Race family isn't just a noble family; they are the royal family. Like the Race family are the rulers of the walls, which plays into the fact of what I said last episode, that the king we see on the throne is really just a puppet or a stand-in. But now this also raises the question for me, I guess, of why the Race would even need a stand-in to begin with. If they're the royal family. Is it just that the Race are so paranoid about being targeted that they need someone to kind of stand in for them and act as the figurehead or something like that? Like, yeah, I really want to know as to why they would need to stand in. Like I said, I think the answer is probably a lot obvious than I'm making it out to be. But yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, pretty much the build up to I'm not gonna lie. The one thing, if I did have a problem with this episode, is that I did think that the build up to pretty much to the whole reveal of the Race family pretty much being the royalty of the walls did feel slightly more impactful in the manga, just from how built up it was. But it was still a great reveal, and now we have even more of a reason in order to get Historia in order to become the new ruler. So yeah, and that is probably going to be the focus of it now. Is like a back and forth in order to get Historia to be the ruler of the walls now. And I'm not going to lie. I think unless I'm mistaken, I think I believe that they pretty much did a bit of censoring with pretty much the whole interrogation scene which I can understand, but at the same time, I wanted a little more graphicness. Okay, just give me the graphicness. But it is what it is, I guess. And the other big but less surprising reveal, obviously, is that Kenny raised Levi, and I like how that reveal did play off the earlier play off Kenny's earlier dialogue about life was like for both of them living in the slums, which is like, okay, I'm not like, okay, I will say this much: we definitely are going to get context into what life was like for them, in a flashback. But if you guys want some really juicy content, about what life was like for Levi specifically living in the slums, then I would like to actually point you in the direction of the Levi OVA or pretty much the spin-off manga that the OVA was based off of. Like if you want to get a lot more context onto what life was like for Levi living in that situation that pretty much Kenny described, then yeah, go watch or pretty much read that content. And Armin kills a human being for the first time, and I remember when this first came out in the manga that people were actually kind of pissed off at Armin, or at the very least uncertain about what to think of him after that. But honestly, I I liked it because compared to most shonen, Attack on Titan literally chose to go for broke and actually like address the psychological effect that killing a person can have, but in a way that's both understandable to a general audience, yet complex enough to analyze. And I love how this one act of Armin actually killing a person pretty much kind of forced everyone in the survey corps to kind of re-examine what exactly is necessary in order for them to survive, even if they don't like it. Like I like how I just love that scene of seeing them sit around and kind of realize that okay, we definitely aren't fighting titans anymore, but this is some. I know it's tough, and we aren't fighting titans anymore, but this is something we just have to do for right now in order to survive. Which, like, okay, it's it's yeah, it really is kind of it really I think in a way that this whole scene is kind of also reinforced by pretty much the fact of the earlier of this of the scene in the last season of the big reveal of um of Titans pretty much being transformed humans. Like I like how this almost kind of reinforces that too. So but yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Death Metal MMA, signing off. Later, guys.